Okay, so Peter has a Corey Gunz with Corey Gunz's mother.
Right.
With his four kids, is it all from Corey Gunz's mother, or is it other women as well?
No, they were at that time like all four different women. Four different women.
Aha. Okay, so we have four kids from four women, you, and his newest child. So that's six mothers altogether. Because the story is about you and Amina, but there's four other women that we don't really get to hear about.
Right.
So how do the six of you guys get along?
You know, I get along with, for the most part, all of them. Corey's mom, I don't think, she doesn't live in New York, so I've only met her a couple of times. But the other mothers, we get along. But, because of, there was, when you look at the history of it all, we have all overlapped in some way, not knowing that we were overlapping, but we have all overlapped in some way, some of us. So there was one young lady that he had the child with when I first met him, and that's kind of like where the storyline comes, and well, she's just getting her karma back because he had another family when she dated him. But that was definitely something that I didn't know about. So that relationship hasn't really been cultivated between she and I. We've had conversations, but we have not become close. She met my children this summer, actually. When it was all over, we actually spoke about it, and that's a relationship that's we have yet to really build.
So have the seven of you ever been in the same room together? Peter and the six mothers?
Not all six, but I will say, like I said, Corey's mom doesn't live here, but I've definitely been in the room with four of them. Well, like four of us have been in a room at the same time.
What was that like?
It was fine. The two of the young ladies, they have children that are much older than my boys. So whatever happened in those relationships kind of happened without me in before I met Peter. And so I mean, we're fine. You know what I mean? It's I try to keep it where we're not blaming the other woman. Even not even in my situation in some respect, but we all get along.
Are the kids sort of forming their own relationships with their brothers and sisters?
Absolutely, and that was part of the other young lady meeting my children this summer. I wanted her children were in New York, and I wanted my boys to meet their sisters, and they have a relationship with the older siblings, absolutely. And even in terms of Amina's baby, they've been around Corey since she was just a few months old, and maybe like a month old they were around Corey, so. Their baby sister, Corey. In terms of that, you always want to do the right thing. And that is, what kind of leads me and guides me in terms of that relationship, is wanting to do the right thing for the children.
So during this whole time, because, Peter Gunz had a very big hit, but this hit was a very long time ago. Since then he hasn't had any really big hits of his own. How has he been able to support a family this large?
When Peter and I were together, I worked, and I did at some point, when I first met him, he seemed to be financially stable, and he was very helpful to me, living in New York and trying to make it on my own. He was definitely always there for me, not just emotionally, but also financially. And, I can't sit here and say that he didn't fall on hard times, and, checks or income, or providing an income didn't ever become challenging. It did. And when that happened, I worked, I had a degree, I provided for our household, and within our household, I tried to make sure that, what was needed from him was as little as possible. And what made me want to do that was because he was definitely there for me those 3 years I was in graduate school. And even after, after I left graduate school and I left, my first apartment and waiting for other apartments, and then we embarked. When I first left graduate school, I left my apartment and I hadn't found a new place. And so we lived together for a year after that. And, and I never really provided in that house. He provided everything. He paid all the bills so that I could, kind of find my way. And so when it was my turn, or when it happened that I needed to be a provider, I just kind of stepped up to the plate to make that load as light as I possibly could within our household for him, because he did also have other children.
I mean, were there child support issues with his other children?
No, they weren't. He has a relationship with all of them, and they know how Peter is, and Peter's the type of person that if he has financially, then everyone has, and if they don't have, or he's not giving, then they know that it's just not coming in. But when he would get checks, when he would do things, those checks would literally come into my account, and I would be like, how much do you want this one to have? How much do you want that one to have? And we would just kind of transfer all the money, accordingly.
I was like crossover music, so it feel good, man. I don't look at nothing by it, not a bias. It's good, man. You make music so people recite it, and that's what they're doing, recite a song.
I mean, yeah, it seems kind of grimy on a moral issue and all of that, but shit, as people get older and all that, you got men who are like 50-something years old, marrying girls who's like
28.
23.